All right, thanks for joining us today. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. People are going to continue to trickle in, but we have a lot to cover this afternoon. Thanks for joining us, guys. This is our first Hora Feliz since June, because we knew that people were traveling. They were taking some much needed time off with all these Zoom calls, right? And enjoying their time with their family, and for that little window we had before the Delta variant snuck up on us. But we're happy that you're here. This is being recorded, so we will share. And if you want to share as well, please feel free to share. A couple of things before we get started. One is the word for today, because we have American Red Cross with us, and they're going to be speaking to us about volunteer opportunities. It's volunteer. So when you hear the word volunteer, feel free to take a sip of whatever it is that you're drinking. We're going to make it a little bit fun. Hopefully they won't overuse the word, because at the end of this call, I think we're going to need a nap. But just to let you know, the word for the day is volunteer today. And then at the end of this session, we're also going to have a raffle. So please stay until the end. We have a raffle at the end of this session. Now, I don't know if you're aware, but the new Census 2020 just came out. And I think that it reported what we already knew. At the beginning of this year, we had our economic outlook event, and Dr. Hayes Bautista came in and he said that Latinos would be leading us out of this COVID situation in terms of GDP, in terms of contributions to the economy. And just a little sneak peek of what I read, it says in 2000, here in North Carolina alone, the population was only 378,000 Latinos. Flash forward to 2020, we're over 1 million now. So specifically in North Carolina, we have an opportunity to tell our policymakers, our community, our business leaders that we are here, and we're here in powerful numbers, and it's time to start paying attention to the things that we need so that we can thrive. Another thing that came out of the census was that Latino population is the fastest growing group in the United States. I think we already knew that, but statistics are powerful. They're on paper now, they're in the census. Also, Latinos will drive the American economy with growth. So these numbers prove that we are going to drive the American economy in terms of growth. We account for nearly 80% of all net new businesses in the last decade. Imagine that. I hear from people saying that we are at an all-time low in terms of creating new businesses. Well, not for the Latino population. We account for nearly 80%. So again, these are all hard facts. These are all statistics that I think it's tiempo, no? It's time for us to show this data, to guide us and to help our Latino businesses thrive, to move forward, and to really pour all of the money that's needed to help these businesses thrive and grow. So we're doing something right. We're growing and we're helping grow this economy. So those are all good figures for me, and they should be good figures for you as well. So one of the things that the Latin Chamber is doing, of course, we're following policy, and we're pushing towards getting more attention to our Latino business owners, because we are the new economy. We're creating a campaign starting this fall. It's called Changing the Latino Narrative. And we want to continue that campaign into the winter and into the spring and into the fall of next year. But thanks to Bank of America, they have helped us create this campaign. And I'm going to give you a sneak peek of what these commercials, I'm calling them commercials because we're going to play them not only on Spanish outlets, but we're also going to play them on English outlets, because I think it's important that we show our community all the great things that our Latino community are doing, that we don't keep it to ourselves, but we go outside of our community as well and show everybody else. So we're calling it Changing the Latinx narrative. Changing the narrative, that's the campaign, that's what we're calling it. And we're going to be asking for your help. When you see these being featured in the fall, they're going to be coming out every Friday. We're asking that you also take that clip and share it with your network as well, because we feel that the more people that learn about our community and the great things that we're doing, that the more eyeballs we get on that the more that they're going to take us seriously, right? The more we're going to say, wow, look at what Latino businesses are doing. We want to showcase our members. We want to show our community how we're collaborating, how we're working together, and the growth that we're having right here in our own backyard in Charlotte. So without further ado, Fernando's going to play a little clip for us. This is just a teaser of what's coming, and we're going to be playing these every Friday. And with your help, we want to amplify it. If you can share it every Friday when they come out, and they will be playing at WCNC. They will be playing with the La Noticia, with Norsen Media. They'll be playing in different outlets as well. Go ahead, Fernando. So these small clips were put together by one of our members, Emiliano Portillo, and we're very proud of the work that he's doing. And this is just a teaser. The rest that are going to come are going to specifically feature some of our members and the great things that they're doing in our community. This is just a teaser. So I'm asking you to please help us amplify this. If you see this on our social media, if you can please just take it, take that clip and share it as well. And showcase the great things that we're doing as a community. I think it's important, es tiempo, for us to start elevating our own people, our businesses, because we are driving this economy. As the census is showing, it's not something that the chamber is saying, it's not saying that a Hispanic business owner is saying, it's what the census is saying, is that we are somos, that's the hashtag that we're using, somos, even though we're different, we are one. We are people, we all crave the same things, we all want the same things, we all want the same opportunities, and those are the things that we're trying to showcase for our business owners. In case you missed it, 378,000 was the number in 2000 population here, Latino population here in Charlotte. Flash forward 2020, we're over 1 million right now. And that's just in Charlotte. If you look at the numbers nationwide, we account for more than 50% of the entire population. So we are driving this economy. As you heard earlier this year, the GDP, if we were our own country, we would be 8th in the world. So these are things that we don't hear about, but we need to start talking about it. We need to start amplifying it, and we need your help to be able to do that. And I think as a smart business owner, if you're capturing business, right, this is going to be your bread and butter. Latino population, right? So we're at the right place at the right time, I think, and es tiempo para amplificar a nuestra gente. So, which I am going to move forward now, and I'm going to talk a little bit about what we're going to do today. Here's our agenda. We have a special guest, our friends from American Red Cross. They've been doing amazing things ever since the pandemic started. And one of the things that they are searching for is volunteers. How do we serve the Latino community, especially in this environment? So American Red Cross will be speaking about serving the Latino community. Gabriel Esparza is going to be our speaker. And then we're going to break out into some networking sessions like we always do, so we can get to know each other a little bit better. You're going to get a printout of everybody who was here on this networking event so that you can touch base with them post-event as well. And then we're going to have a raffle to end the program. Before I introduce Gabriel, I want to talk about one last thing, and that is our programs. Fall is going to be the time for all of our programs at the chamber. We've had a very successful program in the past, and this is called Leading Up. Some of you in this call might have been part of Leading Up, but this year is extra special because we're changing it up a little bit. It has been in existence for 6 years, but this year we're bringing in a new facilitator that is going to be talking about more of the 21st century. How do our employees move forward in the 21st century and become leaders within our organization? So if you have an employee within your organization that you feel that has those leadership skills and wants to tap into the Latino market, we have seats available. So reach out to me, reach out to Giovanni, and he'll tell you how to get them onto this class. And it's going to be a way that we can network, a way that we can come together as a community. And then at the end of these sessions, starting September 8th, we're going to have a graduation ceremony where we're going to invite everybody who participated, the people who, the organizations, to see them walk through the stage virtually. So we might do it live, depending on CDC guidelines, but this is an important program that we've hosted throughout the years, and it will change a little bit this year. Our second program, not sure which slide, it's Avanzar. This is completely in Spanish, guys. So This is one of the few programs that we have completely in Spanish. So if you know of an entrepreneur or someone who's thinking about opening their own business or already has their own business, but they prefer Spanish or their strength is in Spanish, this is a great class that's going to teach them about entrepreneurship and how to tap into different resources here in Charlotte. And it's completely in Spanish. Again, if you know someone that can participate, reach out to Giovanni, reach out to me. All of these programs are free. We are offering them for free this year. So I made a decision about that adamantly, that, you know, this is the time to get people, they're home. They have the luxury of being in front of their computer. They don't have to travel anywhere, to really get them on board with growing and growth. And then the third one is Fifth Third Bank Accelerator Program. That's going to be specifically for contractors. So if you know anybody that is in the contracting business and is looking to grow that business, they're going to get to rub elbows and network with a lot of different people here in Charlotte that will help them, with supply diversity and learn the ins and outs. So it's a way for them to network with people who are decision makers here in Charlotte. And we're specifically targeting contractors this year. So please reach out to us. Again, these programs are free and we want you to take advantage of them. If you are one of the participants or you know someone that can or will participate, reach out to us. We're filling up those seats as we speak. So without further ado, this is what the Chamber is up to. As you can tell, we're very busy, and we're very grateful that these programs are unfolding for the fall of 2021. And we're also very grateful for our Changing the Narrative campaign. Gabriel Esparza is here with American Red Cross, and I'm going to hand the floor over to him because he has a lot of important information to share with us. Thank you for being here, Gabriel.
Thank you, Gris. Thank you, everybody. It's good to see everybody. I know there's several familiar faces here, but I hope everybody's having a great day. I know for happy hour and Hora Feliz, and the fact that so many of us are working from home this year, we don't have to be in suit and tie. So I'm enjoying my guayabera and my agua de sandia. So as you all are hearing us talk through this, enjoy your drinks, enjoy your time, and it's so good to see all of you. I do want to make sure that I introduce my colleagues. Allie Taylor is the head of the American Red Cross in Central Carolina here, and as well, Mariana Bimbela is head of Latino engagement for the region as well. So I am a board member. I am familiar to many of you and have seen many of you on a variety of our Latino organization calls and events and so forth, but otherwise I am a fintech executive here and around the country on a variety of issues that are important to me and our community. But in my capacity as a board member, I wanted to walk you through a little bit of what we've got going on relative to the American Red Cross. And so I'm going to share my screen, and hopefully you all can see this here as I change over to this screen and present. So can you just say, yep, you can see that and we're good? Okay, good. So what are we here for today? Well, the American Red Cross is familiar to so many of you. And what we wanted to do today was share with you, very specifically, information about the Red Cross, because we are in the process of raising awareness about the American Red Cross, specifically in the Latino community. Right? The Red Cross is familiar to so many of us, both here in the United States and around the world, and specifically in Latin America, where so many of our familias and us come from. But we need to make sure that we are raising awareness here for our Latino community in the greater Charlotte and Mecklenburg region. We also have a very specific need to recruit Latino and specifically Spanish-speaking volunteers, for which I'll take a drink of my agua de sandia. Because as events happen that require the American Red Cross services, it is important to know that these events, disasters and otherwise, are happening and affecting our Latino community just as much as they're affecting everybody else. And so as a result of which, we need Spanish-speaking volunteers to be able to help service those situations. So we'll walk you through a little bit today on what we do. The mission of the American Red Cross is very simply to prevent and alleviate human suffering in the face of emergencies by mobilizing the power of volunteers and the generosity of donors. Again, volunteers is important here because this is the lifeblood of the organization. Now, I will say, as I get into this, you will see a variety of pictures that we've got in the presentation. And I just want to make sure you all realize that some of those pictures were taken prior to COVID. So you might see people unmasked and not socially distanced, but just be aware and rest assured that we are maintaining all of the appropriate protocols relative to COVID. So for the American Red Cross, every day in your community, our Latino community, across the country and around the world, the American Red Cross is there. And it is part of not only the Charlotte area, the North Carolina area, the United States, but around the world. And so very specifically, the services that the American Red Cross provides are something that we want to make sure everybody is aware of. And I hope this is not going to be forwarding out of turn. Okay, so let us start with the most important and most basic service, and that is disaster services, disaster relief services. So you know, even in the last 24 hours, we have had challenging storms here in the central Piedmont and up into the Western Mountains that we at the American Red Cross are responding to. You also know we've got fires out west. We've got an earthquake in Haiti. We've got humanitarian relief going on in Afghanistan. So many places around the world we are responding to today as a part of these broader disaster services. The second thing that I'm sure most people are aware of relative to the Red Cross is what we call biomed, but you all might know as blood donation. Right? It is so important that the nation's hospital and healthcare network is sufficiently supplied with blood, our life treasure that keeps everybody going. And so the American Red Cross is the single largest contributor of blood to the nation's healthcare system. The third thing is preparedness and training services. I first became familiar with the Red Cross as a kid when we had to go through CPR training. And so the American Red Cross is an important contributor to all of these types of preparedness and training services throughout the country, specifically here in Charlotte and the central Piedmont. And so this is the third main prong of what we do. What I wasn't originally aware of, but is also a quite important component of the services of the American Red Cross, are services to our armed forces. So there's a variety of things there. We'll get into that a little bit more, but an important thing to know. And even as our troops are coming home from Afghanistan, the American Red Cross is there to be a part of that process and help those transitions. And finally, of course, simply on an international component, the American Red Cross partners with all of its sister organizations of the Red Cross around the world, and again, specifically in Latin America. And so these are the 5 services. And today we'll focus slightly more on disaster services and biomed, but rest assured that all these things are important components of what we do. Now, how do we impact lives? Impacting lives every day of the week, weekends, 24 hours a day. We see more than 24,000 people assisted by the Red Cross every single day in the United States. That includes, like I just mentioned, yesterday's activities with the storms out west, is that 170 times a day, the Red Cross is working to help families affected by a disaster. 12,500 times a day, we're collecting blood donations. 650 youth are reached every day through preparedness programs and mobile apps. As I mentioned earlier about our military, 1,400 times a day, we provide services to military members, veterans, and their families. And this one, of course, quite in the news because we're talking about vaccinations all the time these days. But beyond COVID, know that 683,000 times a day, a child receives a measles or rubella vaccination from Red Cross and our partners around the world. And finally, 13,000 times a day, people are receiving life-saving Red Cross training. These are the things that we do. This is how we're impacting lives, and it is happening every single day. Now, relative to disasters, right? We help after disasters, big and small. Most people think of disasters and you think of the big, momentous, challenging times we have relative to hurricanes, typically in our area, the big fires out west, earthquakes, even the tornado and storm activity that we had over the last 24, 48 hours. But remember that disasters can be small too. A home fire. A home fire is the simplest but most common disaster that we respond to, and just as important to hurricane relief or anything else. This happens every 9 minutes. We are responding to these types of disasters. And so let me say just relative to the home fires that I mentioned a moment ago, that we've started a new initiative recently relative to reducing deaths and injuries caused by home fires. And we'd like to do so by the tune of 25% in 5 years with the Home Fire Preparedness Campaign. And this is an effort in which we are encouraging people to take 2 simple steps that can save lives. And that is A, checking or installing smoke alarms in your home, and B, practicing fire drills at home. These 2 things alone will help to continue to diminish the amount of home fires we have. But when they do occur, we are there for home fires just as much as the large emergencies as well. Now, these dark moments can be very challenging for people. And here are a couple of the things that we do. We provide immediate and basic needs like food and shelter, cleanup supplies and comfort items, and simply meeting with people, providing health and, more importantly, mental health care as people are experiencing these tragedies in their lives and trying to put their lives back together. This happens every day, 24,000 times a day, as I mentioned before. Now, the financial component of these emergencies and disasters is also very challenging to people. And so when their house burns or other emergencies take place relative to any of the disasters that I've mentioned, any incurring of an expense can in and of itself be the most challenging component of a disaster. And so we know, statistics tell us that, for example, here, when an American is faced with an unexpected $400 expense, nearly 40% of US adults will borrow money or sell a personal item to cover that. So this is also where the American Red Cross plays a pivotal role, because we provide emergency financial assistance to help families take care of things like food and clothing and prescriptions and so forth as they deal with these tragedies. So in addition to responding from a healthcare standpoint, a mental health standpoint, finding shelter, we also provide immediate financial support. Now, we work with our international partners as well as tragedies are occurring around the world. And one of the things that so frequently happens is families being separated during a disaster, during a conflict, or other similar situations. And so the American Red Cross and our partners around the world are very specifically working to bring families together that have been separated because of these tragedies. In addition to that, and again around the world, we are spending an enormous amount of time inoculating and vaccinating children, which is ultimately driving a 73% reduction, in this case, measles specifically, measles-related deaths. So know that as we today are focused in the United States, all of us in our lives around the COVID pandemic and getting vaccines here, this is something that the American Red Cross has been doing for years and years and generations, specifically around vaccinations worldwide for those things that we already know how to solve for, like measles and rubella. Now, again, on disasters, there are 2 types of disaster assistance. The first is the immediate assistance that we provide, again, relative to financial assistance, mental and regular health, and then specifically around comfort, blankets, toys, and so forth. After the fact, the recovery assistance component of things includes referrals to other partner programs, other assistance that we can provide, and casework follow-up on the original incident. So know that the Red Cross portion of contributing to all these disasters is ongoing, not just in the immediate case. So what do we need to do relative to Latinos? It is so important that we engage our community in raising awareness and asking for volunteers. So I'll simply remind you that the Red Cross should be known to us in the United States and throughout Latin America. In the United States, there are a number of partnerships that we have with the Mexican Red Cross sharing across the border with Mira USA, LULAC, Unidos US, and the embassies of Mexico and Honduras. And of course, most of you should be familiar with the fact that around Latin America, throughout the region. We have sister organizations that have helped with so many things, most recently, and of course, tragically, earthquakes and hurricanes. So these are natural disasters that are impacting our community, and the American Red Cross has been there across the region. But we need volunteers. This is my moment to take a sip. Volunteers, Latino volunteers, Spanish-speaking volunteers. And volunteers are important, and I'm going to give you the statistic here, which blew me away the first time I read it. But it's important to note that 90% of all the services that I just described, 90% are performed by volunteers. 90% of the services are performed by volunteers. This is an organization that lives, breathes, and survives because of its volunteers. And therefore, we need Latino volunteers, Spanish-speaking volunteers, to help with the delivery of the mission. The benefits of volunteering: meeting new people, you get first aid and CPR training, you make a difference. All of these things, ultimately, many people find that there are leadership skill development there, because volunteers, it's not just a entirely flat organization. We need leaders of volunteers as well. And so developing leadership skills is quite important. The two types of volunteer services, as we talked about, the big two services that we provide, disaster relief and biomedical, would be disaster action teams on the disaster front for 6 to 8 hours a shift per month, or a duty officer on call for 4 6-hour shifts per month. And why this matters, again, is because volunteers drive the organization. Latinos are always impacted more than the underlying population, and so we need Latinos and Spanish speakers specifically to help with our community. Blood services, we need blood donor ambassadors, we need transportation specialists, and again, the Red Cross is the largest supplier of blood in the United States. One donation can save up to 3 lives. There is a fabulous donor app in which, when I first gave, the cool thing here is you get to see the blood journey of your contribution. Not only do you see that it's been received, packaged, checked, and so forth, but it's been delivered to a hospital. And while they don't tell you who it's actually been given to, they simply share with you that your contribution has been given and is saving lives, and it's absolutely amazing. Every 2 seconds, someone in the United States needs blood. The Red Cross is the primary organizer of that blood contribution. So 5 steps to becoming a volunteer. Number 1, redcross.org/volunteer, and apply now. There are policies, there's a photo and background check, screening, and then you're off and running. It is important to know that these steps are out there, and we are here to help with that process. My colleagues, Ali and Mariana, are 2 amazing leaders in the organization, and all 3 of us and so many others in the organization are here to help with any questions related to volunteers. And since I mentioned my friend and colleague, Mariana, let me simply show her recently volunteering and ask if she has just one moment to say anything about her experience as a volunteer. So Mariana, are you on?
Yes, thank you, Gabe, for talking about so many fantastic things that we do at the Red Cross, and that, yes, we really need lots of volunteers, because our mission every day, we're growing in so many aspects. And as Chris pointed out earlier on in the conversation, the Latino population is also growing. So I had the opportunity to deploy to the California wildfires last year in October. And I was deployed as a Latino engagement team lead in coordination with a group of volunteers that were already out there helping the nearby community in Napa Valley that were severely impacted by the California wildfires. The specific role that I was given was in the recovery process. When a disaster hits, there are 3 different phases. There's preparedness, in which Latino engagement team is also involved in. We have the relief process, and then stage, and then we have the recovery stage. So being out there, learning about mapping tools, being able to identify where on the ground, where our Latino communities were that were really impacted, enrolling them in our assistance program was an important phase of our recovery process within disaster relief operation. So my invitation to all of you is that emphasize and reiterate the need that we have for bilingual speakers. And the great thing about it is that you're helping others, and also you're learning and developing fantastic new skills that in my case, particularly, I want to point out that I learned about mapping tools. That was something completely new for me. And not only did I learn it, but I also put it into practice. So we invite you to learn a little bit more. We have in the chat our website where you can find some more information. Thank you.
All righty. Thank you, Mariana. I will stop there and get back to our group here. And perhaps we can answer any questions, get any reactions. Again, both Ali and Mariana are here in addition to myself. And let me simply thank you, Gris, and the rest of the Latino Chamber for giving us this opportunity to chat. It's such an important need that we have to help service our community in the time of need. And so you all are important conduits of this information, not only around the services of the organization, but also in getting Latino and Spanish-speaking volunteers. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Allison and Mariana and Gabriel. We were appreciative that you are part of the chamber and that you support the chamber as well. I think we need to work together. And I hear from a lot of you and some of you who are not here as well about volunteer opportunities. And this is our opportunity, you know, to really jump in there and serve our Latino community. I can't tell you personally, when we were doing these vaccinations at the chamber, and Fernando's here and Giovanni's here, the faces of people when you speak their language, right? They come in and they're like, "Hablas español," you know, they're just so happy to see someone who speaks their language and is guiding them through whatever process in their language. Although they might understand English as well, but they just feel that connection, you know? So specifically, I don't know if Mariana can answer this or Allison, what specifically right now, because COVID, what are specifically some of the ways that we can volunteer that you are looking for right now during this last quarter?
Sure, Mariana, do you want to take the first kind of pass at this and I'll add on?
I will. So currently right now, because many of our, in general, people have been really impacted because they've been home all the time, we do have a wide opportunity that has been open to provide mental health assistance. We have developed a series of training programs, courses, where people can visit our website and learn about how to cope with stress while we are still in COVID. So that is some information that we currently have, and it would be fantastic if we could really have volunteers who are bilingual and could help us also provide this information in Spanish to our Latino community.
Yeah, that is great. That is definitely one of the key opportunities here, Mariana. Thank you so much for highlighting it. I'll also add just a little bit too. We have a number of different things that could be appealing based on your interest, really. If you have a desire to stay more in a virtual environment, if you like the virtual environment and you don't necessarily, you're not quite ready to be out in a larger public setting, we have virtual opportunities, as well as if you are just dying to get back out there. And I've had different people say, I got to get back in front of other people. We have those opportunities as well. So we can really help match you based on what your interest level is. I would say something as well that I think is really important, and Gabe highlighted it, was our disaster action team. And these are the volunteers who will go out and respond to a home fire and be there with that family and help them truly in what is one of their darkest moments and trying to figure out how to move forward. And that's where the Red Cross comes in. And, you know, we talk about the Red Cross hug. Now we have to do things a little more virtually, a little differently, because of course we're going to be wearing masks and social distancing and all those good things to keep it as COVID safe as possible. But having someone show up and say, I got you. I can help you see what that next step is. We can help you with immediate financial assistance to make sure you have a place to sleep. You can buy food in the morning. You can help your kid get to school. Those are the things that that team steps in those first few hours and can help with. So that's one that I just think is really special and wanted to take a second to highlight.
Any other questions?
All right. Well, thank you all again. I really appreciate it. Well, I'm going to stick around for the networking. I know Mariana is as well. I think Allison might have to go because, again, the storms from yesterday are still requiring quite a bit of relief services. And so she's got a number of commitments relative to that. So, Allie, thank you. And Mariana and I will stick around if there's other questions and just a network.
Thank you. It's such a pleasure. Thank you, guys.
All right, and as we're getting whisked away into our rooms here, I just want to say for those of you on this call, if you can help us amplify this as well, if you know anybody, any of your colleagues that are looking for volunteer opportunities, it sounds like there's a matchmaking, right? That they're going to take a look at your interests, what you're open to, virtual, in person, and they can help you match to different volunteer opportunities. So